Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Rose, founder and CEO of ChannelWise. ChannelWise is a platform that provides channel partners access to vetted, been there, done that experts for one on one video consultations to help them go farther, faster in their business. And today, I have the pleasure of welcoming ChannelWise expert Craig Booth. With over 25 years of experience in networking and cybersecurity, he's not only held leadership roles at major companies like Juniper Networks and Avaya, but also founded Channel Force Inc., a company dedicated to innovating channel sales through a data driven approach. He's also the author of two books, and Craig specializes in helping businesses grow their revenues. Well, welcome, Craig.
Thank you, Catherine. Nice to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about what I do and hopefully provide some value to the audience.
Well, I am a sales freak. I love sales. I've been in sales for a really, really long time. And one of the reasons that I invited you, to be an expert on ChannelWise is because of your innovative approach to really helping companies deliver, on their promise of, the channel sales and ROI and stuff. So talk a little bit about your background and why you decided to start Channel Force.
I've spent half my career in direct sales. Actually, had a really good direct sales career. I ended up being hired over at Juniper, and while I was there, I was actually on the service provider sales team. Somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, we want to build a go-to-market for Juniper products through Verizon. Would you be willing to do that?" And my first initial reaction was like, I'm not sure if that's really what I do. I'm a direct sales rep. This is what I've been doing. They said, "Hey, there's a promotion involved. It's highly visible. We think you do a great job at doing this." So when I started, there was about $5 million worth of run rate business that was going through Verizon. And like anybody, I sat down, started figuring out how I was going to backwards engineer a number every year and how I was going to, you know, solve the problems for Verizon's customers downstream, leveraging our technology and Verizon services. So long and short of it, I ended up building a process through that, and we ended up taking our revenue from 5 million to 111 million in 5 years. So
Wow,
we had exponential
fantastic.
growth, and a lot of it had to do was building a data-driven, structured performance model. And this was back 10 years ago. So my background is sales. I kind of fell into channel sales, and I started taking that model, refining it over the years, and eventually started writing books about the model. And that's sort of what led me to starting a consultancy company, building some tools around that as well. So yeah, it's been a great journey so far, and I think the model that we put in place creates a lot of value for people downstream. So
Yeah, I love your model. We're going to get to that in just a second. But, one of the things I've always found about sales is that oftentimes what happens is there isn't any methodology, right? It's that spaghetti sales, kind of mentality where I'm just going to throw everything against the wall and see, what sticks. And what it sounds like to me is your proven methodology is, you learned through doing. Because I'm sure when you first took over, I mean, there's no degrees in channel sales. There's no
yeah,
like, really hard and fast, different kinds of programs that teach people how to sell through other people, right? So coming from that direct side, I think it sounds like it was a really important thing for you to do to like put this in a process so then you can repeat it and repeat it.
no, that's exactly right. So when you think about it, really good salespeople, they plan their territory, they plan their strategy within accounts, and so I took that planning mindset with me into channels. So for me, and again, part of the secret sauce of what I do that's so much different than everybody else is I really move away from maybe the view and the focus on the partnership, but I place the value and the focus on creating active sellers within the partnership. So all the metrics move downstream. And for me, it's about how do I build the recipe for that individual seller to go out and be successful selling the product and the service. And then I layer on top of that a structured prospecting process, and I capture that strategy intelligence of how that individual is executing so that I can then turn around and reshape the messaging, reshape the things that I do. And all of it comes back to helping that individual seller become successful in what they do. So that's kind of you know, to your point, having a recipe or not having a recipe for channel sales. That's really been what I've been trying to do is build that really structured recipe that any company can adopt and generate a tremendous amount of revenue. What I'm really doing is just making the channel sales methodology a math equation. And so it's just a lot of channel science, and we build metrics, and we go after metrics. So it's
Which is,
it's a
right, it's the best way to do it, right? So that you could always see where your best ROI, where your best processes, and the conclusion, hopefully, of a successful sale comes from. You can kind of pick it apart. So you said something about not focusing so much on the partnership, focusing on, it sounded like empowering, enabling the active seller. So talk a little bit about that starting of the process.
yeah. So for me, when you really think about um, the channel as a math equation, if I'm a channel sales leader, one of the biggest issues that I have is that I follow a traditional, or at least most companies follow a very traditional model of they want to focus on compliance to their partner program with the partners. They want to look at POS data to figure out the value of that partner for generating revenue. They look at forecasting data. So we look at a lot of circumstantial evidence as to whether or not the partner is a good partner or how they're functioning. And the enablement that we provide, that we lay over the top of that sort of foundation of channel metrics, is usually product enablement. So we spend a lot of time trying to educate people on our products, and then we hope that that translates into preference for the partner seller to go out and sell. Occasionally we do some account mapping with folks. I know there's a lot of tools that are being built right now to do better alignment between the strategic seller or the vendor and the partner seller. But we still are missing the recipe for that partner seller to go out and execute. So part of what I do is I really focus on building a a strategy for how to sell, resourcing that strategy in the form of a sales play. So for me, it's just not a bunch of marketing material around the product. It's around identifying pain points that the customer is facing, priority pain points. It's about building the right type of messaging based on their buying motivations. It's about packaging that. And then it's packaging every step of the sales process along the way. So the partner seller doesn't really have to put a lot of energy into how I'm going to be out selling this product versus someone else's. They're just following a step by step recipe. When they get to a certain point, hey, here's the email campaign or the call campaign or the messaging campaign. Click the link, all of it comes up. They personalize it. They send it out through a specific process we've got developed. When it comes to, I got my meeting, now what? Here's the pitch deck that I want you to follow. That pitch deck is not trying to sell the product. It's trying to sell the next step in the process, which is an assessment or a demo or something along those lines. So it's a very structured, very organized way of helping a partner create demand based on a best practice for what we've, how to sell a product. So I know it's a
Well,
long drawn
no,
answer.
no, but you're right though, and I think it's important to bring that up is because, this isn't a cookie cutter situation, right? This is you go deep inside the clients that you work with and, build this methodology and this practice, but then it becomes scalable because it's repeatable, it's measurable, and partners can really kind of pick it up and take it. So, you're really helping everyone in that scenario do more business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll add one more piece to the puzzle. So one thing is, it's resourcing the seller is important, but having a structured, and then guess one of the big secrets to what I do is having a structured prospecting process. So I have something called 4321. All I want a seller to do is to agree on calling on 4 accounts within a quarter. So that's the 4 part of the 4321. We score accounts based on an ICP, and we score accounts based on the relationship the partner seller has with an economic buyer. So as he's going
Oh.
through his entire list, we're paring that down to 4 to say, here, these are the 4 top opportunities for us to go partner together based on, again, a scoring process. Then we have a very structured, sequenced campaign. So we have a 3 email campaign that we send. And obviously, if the person has a trusted advisor relationship, he doesn't have to send any of the 3 emails. He can make the phone call and pick up
Right.
and get us into the meeting. But as we go further down that list of accounts, we want to equip that seller with, not just leveraging his direct trusted relationships, but being able to break into new accounts. So we want to resource the whole thing. So we have a structured process with an introduction email, a call script behind it, an objection handling email with a call script behind that, and then an offer email that follows behind that. So we create 5 touch points along the way, and we leverage a referral. So the 4-3-2-1 is 4 accounts, 3 emails, 2 calls, 1 referral. And if that seller executes the campaigns, executes the messaging, and we've done a good job building the sales play, we get about a 22% engagement rate. And that sort of starts the whole math equation. So we start to look at how many outreaches do I need to create how many meetings, how many of those, what's my conversion rate for those meetings to quotes, what's my conversion rate from quotes to close deals. And we start to run literally a math equation that allows us to do predictive revenue streams with the partners, with the channel leaders. And now what we're doing is we're measuring active sellers. I know if I generate 20 or 30 more active sellers and I keep the same active sellers I have going and the math holds true, I can show you how I'm trending, predicting revenue and how we're actually creating value for the partners, doing partner-led demand creation. So it's again, a very structured process, but everybody benefits.
It definitely sounds that way too, because I think that, one of the challenges in the channel, sometimes, especially bigger vendors and even smaller ones are kind of, getting started, they have so many partners, or they're trying to attract so many partners. And we talk a lot about on this show and obviously on ChannelWise with our experts about really narrowing in on what your ideal partner profile is, how to find the right partners, not just warm bodies, right, that will do things. But it sounds like once that engine starts to go, your methodology says, okay, assuming you have the right partners, or if we put our heads together, we can group together what we assume, are the right partners. If it's more of a legacy, a situation, and then we put this methodology in place, and now we can see, in practice how these things have worked, and then we can then repeat it, forward and forward. And actually, I think one of the big things is challenges, and I want to see what your thoughts are on this. Not only identifying the ideal partner profile, but also what makes up the ideal seller profile, right? So who in your channel ecosystem are the people who are actually the ideal sellers for you?
Yeah, so I want to go back for a minute, and then I'll come to this question. But just going back to the whole idea of the number of partners and the recruiting of partners, there's a huge expense that goes on with recruiting new partners and managing new partners. And if we're doing that based on coverage theory, meaning that um, we're recruiting partners based on geography with the hope that those partners become active sellers for us and that they're generating new leads. We all know the 80-20 rule, right? All these channel organizations have these huge bloated channel partners communities that they're trying to figure out who I onboard, who I offboard, who's in compliance, it gets really super complicated, but it also gets really expensive. The ROI of running a traditional channel model means that revenue goes up with number of partners, like there's a 1-to-1 ratio that you're going through. But by shifting to active sellers and then looking at the partnerships in terms of the number of active sellers or the percentage of active sellers that you have within the partner community allows us, within a specific partner, I should say, allows us to start putting KPIs in place to say, hey, look, we have 10 active sellers out of 30. I want to take that to 15. I want 50% of that partner out selling for me this quarter. And then I want it, 75% the next quarter. So I can start to scale my revenue growth without having to go out and recruit a whole bunch of additional partners. So, and it lowers the ROI as a whole. So I think it's really important for, one concept is to really start to shift down to looking at who the active sellers are. And then that goes back to your second question. Who are those active sellers, right? An active seller, by definition for me, is somebody that's prospecting in 4 accounts. That's what an active seller is. Who they are as far as role, that can be an engineer. It could be, a sales rep. It's really anybody that has a trusted, relationship in a set of accounts that we are targeting to go after. They have the potential to become an active seller, and then we as the channel have to build our our strategy enablement with those individuals for what we expect them to do.
Well,
So
and you and you brought this up, and we've talked about this before. How I don't really like that whole 80-20 thing, right? Because everybody just assumes that's just the way it is, right? And there's no way around it. Oh, it's 80-20. But with sounds like with your methodology, it doesn't have to be that way.
no,
What if it was 75-25? Well, now all of a sudden your revenue goes, or even if you took those 20 and you really focused a lot of your attention on them, and then you realize that you don't really need those 80, and so you start like really to look at it from a much more strategic way, rather than it just being, hey, it's 80-20.
No, absolutely, and it's one of the things that I sell as part of my value proposition is to say, look, I'm going to give you a better ROI than the model that you have today, and we're going to do that because we're going to start looking at the partner planning level. We're going to start looking at every seller that they have, and we're going to determine, are they a champion, are they neutral, where are they in the process, do they have the reach that I need um, to my target market? Do they have competency to sell? Will they create a priority to go out and position my product proactively? So we start to score sellers, not we're not trying to micromanage or anything, but we want to figure out who we can turn up. Who are the folks that we want to invest the time in to actually get them prospecting for us? And so everything is about prospecting. It's about, we all have a network of people that we're aligned with, and a really good channel leverages the relationships of the partner sellers to, you know, put us in the HOV lane to get to the economic buyers, right? So that's the goal, and we want to do that very, very quickly and efficiently. So, and again, by moving down to the active seller, I can reduce, the amount of time that it takes to get to revenue. So whenever you onboard a partner, how long does it take you to enable that partner, get them on board? But if I move down to the active seller level, I can turn up an active seller, have them out prospecting within a week. So it really shortens the sales cycle. It produces greater revenue. And to your point with that 80-20, what if I could take and make that equation 30-70 or 40-60? The math holds true. If I've got 15 or 20% more active sellers, I should drive 15 to 20% better revenue growth.
Right,
So
right.
it's all a math equation.
And I think it's just really important to really focus in on the process, and like anything, identifying those active sellers, and and as folks are like running at light speed sometimes, trying to either stand up a new channel program, or re-energize a legacy program. They seem to sometimes really think about the sort of the shiny new things, or like, let's get them email campaigns, or let's get them a new calling script. And you and I have been in sales for a really long time, and we realize that, I mean, I think most of my time as a consultant, I didn't even have a website. Just
Yeah,
being,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just going to admit that, because I just didn't have time, and obviously we have a website now, but it's like, it's just, if you can like narrow in on the people who are the right people, not only to sell it, but are interested in working with you and interested in following the formula that's a proven formula, then you're just going to be that much more successful. So anyway, well, I'm super excited to have you as a ChannelWise expert. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to join us at ChannelWise.
Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you why. I love the concept of ChannelWise. I love what you're doing, Catherine. I think that having a stable of experts that can be used at a pretty quick moment's notice in a very short time frames is a huge benefit to vendors. I think, selling a block of hours back to a vendor and saying, look, you've got 100 different channel experts with varying, expertise that you can draw from their experience on any given situation. I think it's really needed in the channel. I love the fact that you're an innovator in doing that type of work, and I think, I'm just happy to be involved and excited to be part of the group. And the other thing that I love is I love the folks that are involved with channel. I know a bunch of those folks like Greg Plum, who's just
Yeah.
a superstar in my mind. He's just a great guy, and it just does a whole list. Like everybody I've met, they're just really good. I learn things from people all the time, And uh, this is a group that I'll leverage as well. So I think it's a really good concept, good innovative strategy, and I think it's going to be super successful under your leadership.
Thanks, Craig. I really appreciate that. And I mean, we want to democratize access to information. I'm a big, obviously, fan and supporter and evangelist of the channel. And, because there aren't any, as I mentioned earlier, degrees in channel, or, here's a 5-page ebook that'll tell you how to set up a channel and make it successful. It's
Correct.
so important to have experts like you and Greg and like other folks that are on with us that are really willing to give their time and really help the channel thrive. So thank you so much. I just totally love your methodologies. It's really speaks to me because of that, the process and repeatable process, but also making sure that you're getting that really important ROI. So thank you for taking the time with us today. And if you'd like deeper advice on this topic, go ahead and head over to Craig's profile on ChannelWise. We're going to go ahead and post that link into the chat. And if you have any other questions, as Craig mentioned, we have lots of other experts on ChannelWise to either help vendors or suppliers get information on their critical business questions, or MSPs and agents and VARs. So head over to channelwise.com and you can take a look at our experts. But thank you again, Craig. And until next time, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Catherine.